Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tides of Death. Nick, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited. Been pretty hyped for getting this going since we saw last week. I was so excited watching Potato McWhiskey's cleric find his magical powers that I've been inspired for this last whole week. And yesterday I got my first dose of the Pfizer vaccine, so that's pretty good
Congratulations.
news.
Ew.
Um,
What's the first thing you're going to lick after your second dose and 2 weeks have passed?
Maybe just like I don't know, like a carrot or something in the supermarket.
Oh,
Just
don't
really
lick
live
carrots
life
in
on the
the
edge.
supermarket. Go lick some ice cream containers, open it up, and nice.
No, that's too much like thievery. That if you open the ice cream, that's too much. A
Yeah,
rogue
okay.
carrot. I mean, who's gonna resent one lick?
The person who watches you put it back?
I mean, you
No, I
peel
love it.
carrots anyway, so you know.
Who peels a carrot? Do you actually peel your carrots? I mean, I know
Okay,
you're a
real
fancy
real
cook and
talk.
all.
Real talk. It depends on the carrot. Some carrots are gnarly and need peeling. Others you can get away with. Also depends what you're doing with it. You know, like if you're just putting it in a stew or a casserole or something, you can get away with not peeling it. But if you're doing like, buttered carrots to serve as a side dish, you want to probably peel that.
I know this isn't a cooking show, but I have one more question on the carrot topic. What is the benefit of peeling a carrot?
And it's it's not as dried out. Like the outside of the carrot maybe gets dry. It's a bit dirty. Looks nicer if it's peeled.
All
I
right.
mean, yeah.
Shave the carrot's legs, make it presentable. I get it. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know anything about cooking, so that's why I ask. But we're not here for one of your famous cooking streams or contests.
Not today, yeah.
Another time. We are here to talk about Captain John Winters before he was a captain. Back when he was a lowly, not even Mr. John Winters.
He's just John.
John.
Literally just John. Yeah, sadly.
Little did he know.
Yeah, soon to be aspiring to greatness. I mean, at the start of the campaign, he's still just John. I mean, he's not really a captain, and he's not really noble either, so he doesn't really have a surname. So actually, he's just John.
John.
Just John,
Well, John, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
When did you fall in love sea?
'Twas a grand tale. Well, John here had a bit of a rough start, Left home at a young age, wandering around the towns and villages of Eredon, looking for his place in the world. When fate would one day find him stumbling upon a lovely coastal town by the name of, and now I need to think of a good coastal town. Not Whiteshore, because you couldn't wander to Whiteshore. What's a good coastal town, Neal? Not Anvil, that's got too many halflings in it. Shirebrook, it's been done, hasn't it?
Been done. Yeah.
Weatherlight, we're going there later. Maybe it's just Redport.
The great walled city of Redport?
Yeah. So I think, John finds himself out in his arse. He's homeless. He's not got really much to do. He can sort of read and write a little bit. And he thinks maybe, if I go to a big town, maybe in a big town I can find some work, find some way to feed myself, make something of my pathetic and failing life. So there he is, after wandering past Hillsborough, past, what's the one in the middle called, begins with a C?
Clydesdale.
Past Clydesdale, up the road, darting away from all the griffins that attack travelers on the road around there. Finally finds himself at the walls to Redport. First off, he's from he lived in quite a nice place for a while, but it was just a little village, nothing fancy. This is the first time he's ever really seen a large walled city. Mm-hmm. So there we find young John with not much but a small bag on his back and a dagger, staring up at the walls of Redport, wondering what opportunities lay inside, what great adventures will he find, who will he be in 10 years? Only one way to find out, as he steps towards the guards on the gate. So, expecting some interrogation or something, life-altering to happen. The guards just usher him through the gates like he's just any other kid coming into the city. And I think his wandering eventually, at some point, finds him down near the dock. Maybe it's been a couple of days, and he's looking for food. Maybe trying to steal some fish from the people there, pulling in the shipping boats, pulling in the fishing hauls. I mean, steals a few fish, and one day, a couple of days after getting there, he's climbed up to the roof of some small building there. Sitting on the roof, he's enjoying a fish that he's cooked, maybe a bit of bread that he's managed to scavenge from the side of the road that some fancy person has thrown away. And he watches a glorious ship come into the harbor. We're talking like, some sort of fancy merchant vessel. It comes in, it lands on the dock. The gangplank, boom, comes down. And, off from the ship marches these like 3 men in, fancy leather armor with gleaming weapons at their side, followed by a man who must be the captain. He's got a large overcoat on. It's sort of dark brown, but with like red and gold trimmings. He's got a rapier at his side. He's got a really fancy hat with a feather in it. He's watching and just thinks, wow, look at it. Look at the life this man's lived. Imagine what he's seen, the places he's been, the people he's met. This guy could have done anything. I could do that. I could be a merchant. I could work on a ship. I could sail the seas. I could go to interesting places, find new and interesting creatures and kill them and eat them. God, I'm hungry. Wow. I think, he just sits on the roof of this building, eating this fish that he's managed to steal and this bit of bread that he's scraped out of the gutter. And he watches this captain and his crew come off their fancy merchant vessel and haul off all of the goods that they've taken from, far away, distant lands. Maybe they've been to a Kuba or something like that, he imagines to himself, as they, haul their goods deep into the city. And I think, he does a little bit of sneaking around, John. He's good at blending into the shadows, staying hidden, saying the right word to get past a guard, knows how to slip into places that maybe he shouldn't be allowed. And I think, as creepy as it sounds, he maybe takes it upon himself to follow the people of this ship around Redport for a few days while they're in town. I think he originally maybe tries to find his way into the tavern where the captain is drinking, but is unable to get into such a fancy place. So hangs around the docks a little bit until he finds some of the sailors that he recognizes. Maybe hangs out in one of the taverns there, listening into their conversations. Not sure he really does anything at this stage, but you asked when he fell in love with the sea. I think it was in this moment. I think it was the beginning of a lifelong obsession with the wonders of the ocean, of traveling, seeing new lands, etc., etc.
So you see these people, you've never really seen the ocean before, or at least not spent significant time there. If you've never seen a walled city, then your character must be actually come from somewhere between Clydesdale and Redport. Otherwise,
I think
you would have
so.
had to pass one of these great walled towns. So this must not only be your first time falling in love with ships and sea, but quite possibly your first, maybe second time at the ocean. Maybe your family took you on an ocean trip to one of these small villages that aren't marked on our map. But first time at the ocean, first time falling in love with sails and the smells and the gulls and the heels on the gangplanks walking around, kicking up all this noise, the back and forth chatter of merchants and sailors and soldiers and cargo, the straining of ropes, the whipping of sails in the wind. So
and I think the smell of the sea, right? Like on that roof, that fateful day, eating this fish. It's the first day he spent really looking at the sea, and the smell of it always brings him back to that moment. Every time he sees the sea, every time he smells it, gets this burst of aspiration about what he could do and what life could be.
Right. So we go from here to John being on a ship for the first time. So how does John, who's clearly in love with this and needs to see the world, venture out away from home, get involved in all these fun sort of shenanigans that are about to come up, how does John persuade someone to let him sail with them when John doesn't know shit about seamanship or rope use or sailing or rowing. Do you start as a rower, maybe? How do you start?
Well, no, because he's still like a young kid at this point. I think this week that this ship spends in town, John's stalking around, following them. After a few days, maybe he plucks up the courage to speak to some of the sailors in the tavern. He's kind of got in his head that he's going to offer to them to work on their ship, right? This is the start of his new life. And he eventually, on the day they're going to leave, he knows they're leaving, and he runs down to the docks. And he sees the captain as he's going onto the boat. He runs up behind him, like, taps him on the shoulder. Captain, my name's John. I love your ship. I love your crew. I love everything you do. I want a chance, Give me a chance. I'll do anything. I'll clean the decks. To be honest, I don't know much about what it takes to be a sailor, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm quick to learn. I'm willing to do anything. So, please. And I think maybe this doesn't go as well as he might have hoped, and I think perhaps this captain like turns him down. We don't.
Oh no, absolutely not. He's got use for you, but it's
really?
maybe not what you were hoping for. Captain takes a look at you, takes off his big tricorn hat, tucks it under his arm, squats down to the level of young. How old are we talking? Like 13?
14, something like that. Yeah.
Before you've had your big growth spurt, so you're a little bit short still. And he looks you dead in the eye and goes, "So, you want to board my ship, eh?"
I do. I want nothing more. I've been seeing.
Do you know how to tie a rope?
Yeah, I think so. I could tie a rope, sure.
Do you know how to mop a floor?
Yes, I've mopped many a floor. My mother taught me. I grew
Is your
up in
mother
nice
a
house.
good-looking woman? We can always use more moppers.
I shake my head. Alas, I don't think I'll ever see my mother again.
Yeah, takes a look at you and squeezes your arm, spins you around a little bit. What's your strength, John Winters?
9?
Yeah, well, you're not strong enough to be a rower. He takes a look around here. Along the dock, there's all these little pylons that hold it up, and they're spaced maybe 4 feet apart. And he points to the pylons and tells you to like leap from one pylon to the other all the way down the dock. Let's see if you've got any sort of you've got good balance that he could use for one of these shippy tasks. Give me a dex check.
That I can do. I mean, John's been hanging around these docks for a while now, stealing fish and the like. He's he knows his way around these pylons, and I have no doubt that I will impress this man. Easy. 27.
He sees you hop around and nods to himself. Well, you're not completely useless. Tell me, do you know how to roast a chicken?
I've helped my mum cook from time to time. Yeah, I can roast a chicken, sure. Yeah. Just
all right, son.
Get some butter.
We need a new kitchen boy, and you're it.
Really?
I'll introduce you to the cook. You're going to work your ass off every day. Our crew eats 3 times a day, and you and the cook are going to prepare all their meals. And when you're not cooking with him, you're going to be mopping decks, folding sails, coiling rope, and polishing swords. You understand me?
I understand. Thank you so much. I think he thinks about
Thank you
going
so
in for a
much,
hug,
sir. Last
Thank you
word
so much,
out of
sir.
your mouth, the kitchen boy, is sir. And from now on, until we tell you otherwise, your name is Kitchen Boy. You got that?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Excellent. My name is Captain Cragen. Welcome to the Sea Wench. Hop aboard.
Sir, Captain Craig, sir. And he runs on board the ship up the gangplank. Can't quite believing his eyes as the wood creaks beneath his feet and he steps onto the deck for the first time.
The rest of the crew looks over at you and kind of scratches their head. And the captain comes aboard with a bit of a laugh, slaps a few people around, says, "We need a kitchen boy unless you want to keep eating." And he like jerks a thumb in the direction of a 6-fingered sailor. 6-fingered
Jesus.
sailor. And they all kind of nod, like, you can overhear someone saying, like, "He never peels the carrots. Why don't we ever eat peeled carrots? It's so weird."
I can peel the carrots.
We
I
got
can
a
peel
young
the
boy
carrots.
to peel our carrots now, lad. It'll be great. And the Sea Wench heads out of harbor. So, Um,
Awesome.
first day aboard the ship, you get to meet the cook. Let's roll us a die here. The cook is a woman by the name of Six, is what they call her, because she has 6 fingers.
6. Lady 6. Lovely to meet you. Thanks for helping me here. I'll be the best.
What'd you call me? Huh? Lady 6? I ain't no lady, sonny. And she gives you she grabs one of these.
Sir 6.
She smacks you on the back with one of these spoons, and berates you for speaking out of turn. She seems to be a rough, all over woman. Like, she's got splinters coming out of her. She's not particularly friendly. She clearly has had this kitchen boy added so that she can do her job right, and she absolutely resents your presence on this ship, because the implication is that she is failing her job because of her 6 fingers, and that she needed a child to help her. So in her eyes, you are not only her future replacement, but also a sign of her weakness. And she is mad with you. She has you do all the dirtiest jobs. She has you scrubbing out all the big pots, and then when it's clean, definitely clean enough for a bunch of sailors, she'll look in and find some minuscule piece of something and have you clean the whole thing out over again. She drives you hard.
Well, I think a couple of things. John makes it his mission to win 6 round. He's a charming boy. He hopes that by the end of this encounter with her, however long it lasts, that once this is all over, he can call her a friend. And at first, I think he works really hard. This is the first job he's had in his life. I think it becomes pretty obvious to him pretty quickly that the life of a kitchen boy is not all it's cracked up to be. Not that it's cracked up to be that much, but it's a lot of hard work. Not much in it for him, really.
It's a lot of being below decks, working in the kitchen, and not very much being on the top deck, seeing the stars, seeing the sails, seeing the dolphins. You'll hear people on the decks above calling out to wondrous things, and at best you might be able to sneak away to one of these portholes to try and glimpse what's being seen before before 6 drags you back with one of her fingers back to the stew that you're supposed to be working on. Show me how long it takes you, if you can at all, to get on side of 6's good side.
Well,
charisma check, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so let's talk about how I go about it first. So I think,
of course,
John does have high charisma, right? And part of this is understanding social circumstances and sort of social cues. So he picks up pretty quickly that she's scared of being replaced here, and she resents the idea that she can't do her job properly. So he kind of goes out of his way to downplay his own ability to do the things that she does, and also compliment the food quite a lot, compliment her about how much of a good job she's doing, continually thanking her for teaching him. I'd never have been able to do this without your help. Trying to bring her on side like that. And working in a fast-paced environment like that, high stress, I think it does tend to cause bonding over time. So I think there's a pretty good shot here. So we'll do a little charisma check. Okay, we get 29. Perfect.
That is quite a good roll there. So the first voyage is a long one. Your party sets out from Redport to take up supplies here and deliver them all the way to Kroblin on the other side of Drekis. There you're picking up supplies of iron, which you're taking all the way to Talashar, sort of secretly. When you get to Kroblin, you can overhear, as you're standing on the bridge of the ship, listening to the captain buying and hauling cargo around, that they tell everyone they're going to be taking the iron all the way to Drunsbar, to the Free Cities, and selling it there. But once back aboard the ship, you guys make quickly for Talashar to sell your iron in that place. And it's this first voyage from Redport to Kroblin to Talashar that you and 6 begin to develop a little bit of a rapport. You seem to be following commands. You seem to be pretty, on top of your duties and responsibilities. And it quickly becomes apparent that, even if the cook is going to be replaced eventually by you, you're only a 14-year-old kid, and there's no way you're, like, taking her job anytime soon. Not to mention, it's going well. She could use the assistant. Begrudgingly, he begins to grow fondly of you.
Yeah, I think it probably helps that I'm not sure that John has, like, a huge natural affinity for cooking. You know, he does a passable job.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you know, we're only feeding sailors, so, you know, how good do you actually have to be at cooking? But,
mm-hmm. Seriously.
You know, it's certainly not
They'll
his
eat
life's
anything.
calling. Yeah.
Right. It is when you guys arrive in Talashar that the first bit of danger of this life becomes apparent to you. Everyone gets off the ship as the cargo is being unloaded. Even Six goes aboard to pick up some specific spices that can only be found in Akuba. I mean, you can find them in other port towns, but they're way cheaper here because this is where they're grown, right?
Yeah, I think John. Sorry to interrupt. John will take any opportunity to be on board on the top deck. So as soon as like Six is going to gather supplies, he'll like run up after her and
yeah.
If he's not allowed off the ship, maybe he'll climb a bit of a mast or something to get a good view of the town.
Mm-hmm. And one of the important lessons that you learn here in this place is to never leave your ship unguarded. The captain, all the crew, even Six wants to get off, see some land for a little bit, check out this foreign port, shop around, go to a tavern, hit up a brothel, whatever it is that the sailors want to do here. But someone's got to stay behind with the ship, right? And first off, Talashar's no place for a little boy, so they leave you on the boat, but you're not old enough to watch the boat. So the sailors draw straws, and one person, a middle-aged man, probably like 45, named Bones, pulls the short straw.
Have I spoke to Bones before? Are me and him acquaintances at all? Or?
You've seen him, you know the name, you know the face, but
maybe I've
haven't
served
really...
him a bit of stew at a table.
Certainly, but there's not been much in the way of communication. I think you've only been with the ship for a few weeks, maybe a month at this point. And he is supposed to take the watch. But Bones is a little bit of a drunkard. And the moment everyone's gone, he goes over to the rum barrel, pops off the lid, begins to pour himself a mug. And everyone's got a very specific ration of rum, and there's a very specific amount of it on the ship. And this guy's clearly pulling out way more than he's supposed to because no one's around to see any better. He catches you looking at him, and he eyes you, leans over to you, and goes like a shh, then takes a pour of rum and hands it over to you as well.
I nod. I look over my shoulder.
Right.
Make sure that no one's watching, and I will take a glass of rum from him or a mug of rum. This is probably not the first sip of rum that John's had. I'm sure he's like snuck one from Six at the end of a long shift
absolutely.
or something like that.
You may be 14 years old, but that is well past the drinking age of 6 years old in this world. So, you get rations of rum just like everyone else. But while the two of you are hanging out on the boat, keeping an eye, John falls into a nice drunken stupor. It's a warm day. He's got the rum, the wind's blowing in his hair. He sets up his hammock on the main deck so he can just sway back and forth in the wind. And soon his mug falls from his hand, rolls across the deck, spilling a little bit of rum.
Yeah, I think it's easy for him to relax here because this is probably the first time since that first day on Redport that he's actually experiencing what it is he set out to experience, which is seeing strange and new sights on the top deck. So he's pretty contented right now.
Yeah. And that's when you see a group of people coming down the deck. It looks like some youths, kids between the ages of 16 and 24, who are playing some sort of game, tossing things back and forth as they come down the dock. The ball keeps getting tossed forward and everyone runs after it. They throw it back, it gets tossed forward, rolls a little bit farther down the docks. And in this big, complicated, swaying game of balls being chucked around, it somehow gets kicked onto the ship and rolls way over to the far side, almost falling off. It's your duty to watch the ship. Well, it's John's duty to watch the ship and make sure no one gets on. But it's just a bunch of kids and their ball gets kicked onto your boat.
Yeah, you said drunken stupor. Am I just drunk? I'm not asleep.
You're as sober as you want to be. John is like passed out in a hammock.
Yeah, Bones, you mean?
Bones, yes, sorry.
Oh, it's Bones that fell asleep, not me.
Right. Bones is the one who passed out in the hammock. He gave you like one big mug of wine and then closed the lid on the thing again.
Okay. So I look over to Bones and see him like, slumped over against a barrel or something like that, drooling from the side of his mouth, clearly like passed out, spilling the precious rum on the deck of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably have to clean that up before the captain gets back, so so we don't get found out. And then this ball flies over my head. I look incredulously at the people who've thrown this ball, making sure it's not the captain or something. And I see these stupid kids or whatever. Are they stop? Are they waving at me, looking for me to?
They watch the ball go over and they start waving at you. And someone says, "Kick it back, throw it back," and they wave hands in your direction, clearly not wanting to hop on the gangplank up onto the ship. They know the rules. You don't board a ship.
Yeah. So I will. I walk over to the other side of the deck and grab that ball.
Great. Give me a charisma check.
No, wait, hang on. I grab the ball. I walk past Bones back to their side of the ship, where they're on the port, and I hold the ball up and I say, "You're not meant to be playing with things like this around our ship. The captain will have your head. This is ours now." And I throw it back over my shoulder.
Give me that charisma check.
Yeah. 33. Let's go.
Yeah. As the ball sails from your hand, you just instinctively do a quick head count and realize the group of youths is too shy of what they were a moment ago before you turned your back to them to go after their ball.
Uh-oh.
2 of them are mysteriously missing.
Panicking, right? He thinks about saying something to them, and then he quickly turns around and runs up to Bones and starts well, no, maybe I don't wake him up yet. Is there another way onto the ship other than up the gangplank?
I guess if you could in theory swim to the side of the ship, and then if you're really good at climbing, climb up the side of the ship, which is going to be really fucking hard. You'd have to be great, an excellent climber, and do it that way. Or in theory, maybe you could swing from one ship to another if you had the right length of rope in the right spot.
Yeah, okay, but they haven't done that. Would I have heard them going up the gangplank, or is it feasible that they could have come up the gangplank and gone below deck or something like that without me seeing them?
It's feasible. It's unlikely, but feasible.
I look back at them. I will, can I pull the gangplank onto the deck?
Yeah. This is going to be your first time pulling the gangplank on the deck. It's a long piece of wood, and it just looks like a big plank of wood. And so John, the youth who's only been on ships for maybe a month, is really not used to the weight and leverage of this huge-ass gangplank. So I'm going to ask you to make me a strength check as you pull it on.
So as not to drop it in the sea.
Drop it in the sea.
Okay, well, I do it anyway. Let's go. 20! Easy.
Yeah. The weight is awkward. You go to lift it and immediately it begins to tug and pull forward and down, but you fling with all your weight and slowly jerk it back up onto the ship, and it's fine. You get it on board.
Okay,
the kids laugh at you as you clearly struggle with the weight of the gangplank.
Sure. I run back to Bones. He's still asleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
I reach into his scabbard and pull out his rapier, and then head below deck.
As you draw the rapier, the kids on the walkway bolt and break, taking the ball and fleeing.
No, wait, hang on. I didn't throw the ball back to them. I throw it over my shoulder, back onto the ship.
Oh, well, yeah, you draw the rapier, and they want their ball, but their gangplank's gone. They stay there. They laugh at you for pulling out the rapier. What's a little boy gonna do with a sword, huh? You gonna stab yourself?
I ignore that. I need to make sure that their friends aren't on the ship. Hopefully they've just fucked off and gone done something else, but I will head below deck and start calling out, "Hey, you guys are meant to be down here."
Yeah, and you see them. One of them is kneeling before the captain's door with some lockpicks in hand, trying to pick it. The other one, who seems to be further deeper into the hold. You have kind of catch their heel going around the corner as the other one is hanging out next to the door with some picks. He throws a look over his shoulder at you, and just holds both picks in one hand and makes like a shh to you.
God damn. Am I anywhere near the kitchen? How much distance is there between me and him?
You are 4 steps from the floor that he's on, and then maybe another 10 steps away. So really close.
And where's the kitchen? Far away.
When you come down the stairs, the captain's door is the first door there. The room next to the captain is the kitchen. So like just to the side of the kid is the entrance into the kitchen.
And this kid's what, like 16, 17?
Yeah, somewhere in that area.
I'm not sure he's a cold-blooded killer just yet.
Yeah, what do you do? Murder someone for sneaking onto a boat?
Well, he's trying to break into the captain's quarters. I hold the rapier in front of me, taking a few steps forward. Hey, what are you doing? That's the captain's quarters. Get away from there. You shouldn't be on here.
Don't worry, I'll give you some. Come on, we can both make out like bandits. The other guy's still passed out, right? Well, keep an eye out for me. And as if you're on the same side, he just turns his back to you and continues picking at the lock.
Interesting. I think, he's not responding to my threats. Mm-hmm. I'm not really prepared to attack him with the sword. I was kind of hoping to scare him off. So I think John kind of stands there, mouth agape, watching, looking over his shoulder, hoping that Bones isn't going to wake up, just not sure what to do here.
All right, well, a few moments pass, and the kid finally clicks the lock, opens the door, and waves you into the doorway with him as he enters the captain's room and starts rummaging around for things, looking for quick and easy money. Nothing complicated, no jewels, no books, nothing that he would need to sell, looking for cold, hard cash so he can get on and get off.
So I think, John takes a few steps into the room and says, I don't know about this. Maybe you should just leave. I won't tell the captain anything.
The kid looks up at you and goes, good, and goes back to what he's doing until he finds a bag of gold. He picks it up, yells out, Jim, we got it! Comes over to you, pulls 2 gold coins out of the bag, and hands them over to you. Says, we're keeping a good eye out.
I don't know what to do. I feel like this captain's the only person that believes in John in the whole world right now. I think I reach my left hand to take the coins, and then
he quickly moves right on past. Once you're reaching out, he puts the coins in your hand and hurries out the door.
Well, I was gonna say no, I'm hesitating. It's fine.
Yeah.
I take the coins. I thought about doing something, but it's too late. I have the coins in my hand. I look down at them. And
the other kid comes from the hold, runs past the doorway with you, up another set of stairs. He's got a bag over his shoulder. No idea what's in it. And the 2 kids are on the top deck before you know it. Then you hear the sound of wood sliding, the gangplank. You can hear them trying to maneuver it into position.
I run up the stairs and put the coins in my pocket and run up to Bones and start slapping him awake as they're trying to put the gangplank in place.
Bones wakes up pretty quickly once someone's actually smacking him around. He might be a little passed out, but he's still on watch and a sailor. So he struggles too, and then sees the kids.
They're stealing from the captain.
He rolls out of the hammock, no problem. Goes over, lands a kick on the rump of the kid with the bag over his shoulder. The bag falls to the ground. The kid topples head over heels. We'll give the kid a dex check. And falls off the edge of the ship into the water with a big splash. Nice. One who has the gold turns to face Bones and pulls a small knife out of a hidden sheath somewhere on him. Bones reaches for his rapier and comes up empty.
I hand it to him. immediately, right? Like as soon as I wake him up, I'm like handing him his sword. If he runs out to
Great.
kick the guy straight away, then maybe I don't. But as soon as
Yeah. He goes to reach the sword, and then the hilt is there in his hand, and he draws it, levels it at the kid, threatens the kid's life. Kid drops the bag of coins, jumps off the ship into the water, and two of them are gone. John looks
I still
back
got
at
your
you.
ball, you fucks. Sorry, I didn't actually say that.
John whirls around back to you and goes, "And that, kid, how you keep an eye out. What'd they take?" And he comes on over and sees the bag of gold coins, goes, "Oh, well, that's not good." Goes over to the big bag, the bag that was over the kid's shoulder, and opens it, and it's all these like random personal effects of various sailors. One of them, some things that are worth some money that you might have to pawn or sell, some little bits of weird stones, some statues that you would use to like pray to specific deities that are like nicely made and lined with silver and some gold in some places. Other small quantities of money, a few gems. A good haul for children, but nothing too much. Takes a look through all the stuff. Look at the captain's bag. Takes a look at you and goes, "What'd you see, kid?"
They threw that ball on the ship, and I was going to get it for them. And by the time I turned around, I noticed a few of them were missing. I tried to wake you up, but
You saying I was sleeping on watch?
oh, maybe, maybe you were just distracted or something. I don't know. Maybe you didn't see them.
Saying I'm incompetent on watch.
I didn't say that.
Distracted on watch is incompetent on watch, kid.
Well, listen, Bones. I mean, what do you want me to say? You tell me what to say. I'll tell the captain. But they snuck on, and you didn't see them, and I chased them down. I tried to.
That's not how it went down.
No?
Those 6 kids kicked the ball onto their ship and swarmed up the deck. I pushed them all off and brought the gangplank on board while 2 snuck down in there. And you, smart boy that you are, stopped them from entering into the captain's quarters. Or you caught them once they were inside. And he hands you the bag of gold. And you got this from him. And the other one, well, and he starts to move some of the stuff back downstairs. Well, we caught him red-handed in the act. Chucked him off the boat. You get me?
Sure. Yeah, I get it, Bones. Don't worry.
Good lad. He taps you on the shoulder a few times. And slides the gangplank back into its position. Climbs back into his hammock and leans over, so now he's watching that side of the ship. And you notice his eyes don't close again, but he settles in his hammock.
Yeah, so I think after this encounter, John will go down to his quarters, wherever they are, somewhere below the deck, and he will lie in his bed by whatever light comes in through the portholes, and he will run his fingers over these 2 gold coins that he's managed to get his hands on. The first gold that he's ever touched in his life, probably for more than at least a passing moment. And he dreams and thinks, seeing new land, got some gold in my hands, everything's coming up rosy. And he starts to think about what to tell the captain once he gets back here. Because maybe he's learnt a little lesson from Bones here, The truth's not all that matters. Sometimes it's just a story you spin. And Bones' story certainly helps Bones. But maybe there's a better story that we could come up that would help John a bit more.
Huh. What do you got?
Well, I think maybe we say that Bones was asleep on duty and I saved the day. Maybe no one would believe me that I kicked these kids off the boat.
Well, you've got some time to think about it.
Yeah, he muses.
Maybe an hour or 2 after the sun has gone down, you can hear the drunken sailors coming up the dock, up the pier, up the gangplank. You can hear their boots on the top deck. as someone begins to break into the barrel of ale, the barrel of rum that's, just down the staircase, just right next to the captain's quarters. And the crew continues their binging when they get back to the ship. And you can hear the voice of the captain above you. You can actually see shadows through the planks above. Shadows cast by the lanterns they're carrying, as the captain asks Bones how watch went. Bones is a little bit tired, and he gives the captain a quick, some kids came onto the ship after kicking their ball, but we got rid of them. Kept the ball, though, and hands the captain the soft ball of cloth that they've got. The captain moves on, comes down to the area where you are, comes over to his quarters door.
I'm nearby waiting for the captain to get to his quarters. As soon as he gets there, I'm going to come around the corner with the bag of gold. Captain!
See with the bag, yeah.
This is yours. I hand it to him.
What is it, kitchen boy? He says, and grabs the bag and hefts it. Sounds like coins.
It is. It's your coins, sir. Sir, your coins, sir. It's the kids that got on the boat. They tried to steal it. This is what they took. I got it back for you.
He reaches for the doorknob on his door, and it's unlocked. And he pushes it open, looks back at you, and goes, Bones told me he kicked all the kids off before any trouble happened.
Sir, I caught them red-handed, sir. I came down here. I saw the biggest of them looting around in your room. I chased him off, but he managed to grab this gold before he got back to the deck. Luckily, Bones managed to put an end to him, or I'll get the gold back off him at least.
Captain goes in, sits down by his desk, and pushes out a small box for you to sit on, and waves you into the room, saying, leave the door open.
Okay, I gingerly come in and sit down, feeling the gold coins in my back pockets against my buttocks.
He empties the bag of coins onto his table and starts counting them out, putting them in stacks of 5.
Yeah.
5, 10, 15, 20. You know a bag of coins contains about a pound, which is usually 50. 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And you can see he's going to come up with 48. That was a full bag of 50 coins. 45, 46, 47, 48. And he stops.
So, I've got 2 ideas here. One is to try and sleight of hand the coins onto the floor, so it looks like they just fell out or something like that. Not of my pocket, but of the bag. But I guess the bag was tied, so that wouldn't really happen easily. So I think the alternative plan is to just say nothing. Look bemused.
All right. Counts out 48 coins and looks at you.
What's wrong?
We're missing 2 gold coins. You know how much a gold is worth? Quite a lot. Buy a man's time for a long, long time with 2 pieces of gold. He just looks at you, waiting for some sort of response. And an awkward silence dawns as you say nothing for a little bit, and he's clearly just waiting for you to break.
Yeah,
Waiting for you to
I
speak.
hold my nerve here. And after a while, I guess I'll say, maybe they got lost when Bones grabbed the coins from the thief.
Thought you said you caught him red-handed.
I did, but I didn't get the bag from him. He ran away. Bones took it off him.
Bones had the bag of coins then, huh?
Yeah, sir, but Bones rescued them from the thief. He handed them back to me to look after them.
Not possible that we have 2 thieves on this ship, is it?
Well, I knew I should
Go
have...
get Bones. Bring him here.
I knew I should have mopped up that rum. I run out of the cabin.
Bones is up with the rest of the sailors, indulging in plenty of drink as everyone continues their carrying on and boarding.
Okay, fuck. I don't want to give up my gold here, but I also don't want to lose my job. So I'm gonna try and I'm gonna have to tap on Bones's like back right to get his attention. I assume that he's pretty drunk by now. I wanna, it's normal. I'm a kid. I'm running around the ship a lot. I want to like run up to Bones, like bump into a few people on the way, kind of stumble into him, and then try and sleight of hand the coins into his back pocket.
Okay. So you are also, in addition to being a fighter, you're also eventually going to be a rogue.
Yes.
This is going to be your very first pickpockets attempt, right?
Does this count as pickpockets? Not just a dex check.
This is a pickpockets attempt. So your base pickpockets, I think, is 20, 15 base, 5 more for
Dex.
Dex.
And 5 for not wearing any armor as well. So it should be 25.
So 25. Give me a D100. Roll a 25 or lower. Oh, it's fucking broken. Okay,
no, I'll just roll. I'll just roll a D100. Oh shit.
Doesn't work. You tried to like slip the coins into one of his pockets, but you can't. With all the jostling going around, you just can't like actually find the opening into his pocket well enough before you have already bumped into him and gotten his attention. It was a narrow window of opportunity, and it closes and passes. Bones rolls around to look at you. What is it, kitchen boy?
Oh, yeah? Captain wants to see you. I didn't drop the coins, and I just didn't get the chance to plant them.
Yeah. So with pickpockets, I think 95 and above is like bad
catastrophic failure.
Yeah, and then there is a 3% chance per level of the person you're trying to pickpocket that they actually notice you. So if Bones was a level 10 fighter, then if you had rolled a 70 or above, Bones would have noticed the pickpocket attempt and actually caught you red-handed. It's possible if you had rolled like, hypothetically, if your pickpocket's chance is 80% and you roll like an 80, you can successfully pick his pocket and him notice you at the same time. We're at the area where you have failed to pick his pocket, but not so badly failed that you like drop things and he isn't high enough level to notice. So this is sort of like a nothing changes. The attempt is just wishes. Wafts? Fills? The word I can't think of. Doesn't matter.
Washes.
Whiffs? It whiffs.
Whiffs? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, do we pass the quarters on the way down to the captain's quarters or not? I assume our quarters are deeper down.
The very first one, and your quarters are mobile. Everyone's got a hammock. You string up the hammock wherever you want to sleep. Most people will sleep in like the cargo hold. Some people will sleep on the top deck on a nice night. Some people will sleep way down like the room where the ballast is. You can kind of set up quarters wherever you want.
What about, is there any like gaps in the deck? Mm-hmm. Like little holes that I could slip the coins into so they fell down into the hold and maybe go and try and retrieve them later? Is that a reasonable
If they fall down into the hold, there's little chance that you would find them first. If you drop them between decks and they land in a place where they can be found, someone else is probably likely to find them the moment they come in there. Or they'll drop between decks and roll somewhere that no one's going to find them.
No one's ever going to find them.
Yeah. Bones heads down towards the captain's, walks across the deck, goes down the stairs. I assume you're following behind him, right?
Well, if I could get away to go and plant the gold somewhere, that would be nice. But I think what I will do is come to the door of the captain's quarters and sort of stand outside it as Bones goes inside.
Bones goes inside, and you can see the captain finger you in as well.
Okay, I follow him, looking confident.
Bones gives the captain a bit of a salute, says, yes, Captain Kragan? There's something you need. And the captain points to the piles of gold in front of him. 9 full piles and the one not quite full pile. Says, Bones, can you explain the missing 2 coins? Thought you said you caught the thief. Bone goes, I did. The bag was closed and tied, and I handed it back to the kitchen boy. Told him to put it away.
I nod.
Captain looks to you. Well, kitchen boy, did you find 2 gold somewhere?
Sir, that's what I did, sir. I just held onto the bag that Bones gave me, and I gave it back to you as soon as you got back down here. Because of the mess in the room, I didn't just want to leave it here. I wanted to explain it to you what had happened.
Well then, it appears, Bones, that the child managed to steal 2 gold, and it's coming out of your pay. In addition, I think it's time for some discipline. And he grabs a bosun whistle from beside him, blows on it a few times, and you can hear the whole crew beginning to straighten up on the top deck. You can see Bones' face goes a little bit white. And as the captain gets up, he grabs this cat o' nine tails. It doesn't actually have spikes on it, but it's a series of like leather whips all bound together.
Yeah.
And the captain walks you and Bones up to the top deck, where it is announced to the crew has happened that thieves have come aboard the ship, that Bones failed to search them after he kicked them off the ship, that 2 gold coins were missing coming out of his pay, and that everyone should check their own possessions to make sure nothing else was taken. And in addition, Bones is going to take a flogging for it. And so they tie him up to the mast, and everyone takes a turn getting a flogging on him. Each person flogs him twice for the 2 gold coins.
Oh my god.
The captain's going to hit him 4 times. Now, when we talk about this flogging, this is like
The whole crew whips him
9
twice.
leather cords all wrapped together and then tied. So it's not like whipping a person, which is 1 small strand at high speed. This is lots of strands at like medium speed. So it's painful and definitely humiliating, but it's not going to like leave bloody scars. It's going to leave like welts, but not like break the skin. This is a punishment, but it's not, it's definitely painful, but it's not going to scar him for life or anything.
Yeah.
The whole crew takes their turn. The captain's the last to go, and right before him, the captain hands you the oiled leather straps. Says, son, it's your turn to learn how things work on a ship.
Sir,
Work together as a crew, as a team. When we watch each other's backs, any one of us screws up, we all end up paying the price, which is why when someone makes a mistake, we all work together to punish him. It's not that we don't like Bones. You see, he's still employed here. He's still one of our crew. He's still a family member, and we'd still all give our lives for him. But Bones fucked up. He needs to be reminded of it, and each of us need to take a turn to remind him that he's failed us. He failed you. Go show him what's for.
So yes, sir. I grab the whip. I sort of run the tails across my left hand, and then I throw it into my left hand instead, and I try it the other way, see which way feels a bit more natural, being ambidextrous and all. And then I think to myself, the whole crew's already whipped him, and I'm only a kid. It's probably fine, and I do my duty.
As you approach him, he's like, tied to the deck. Hasn't said a word. Tears definitely streaming down his eyes from the pain, but he holds it together. You can also see someone has given him a little piece of wood with cord wrapped around it to bite on. And as he looks down from underneath his arm back at you, you can see his eyes narrow in your direction. And you can see it's plain on his face that he thinks, no evidence, but he thinks that you stole the coins.
Wow.
And he is, despite the suspicion and despite the suffering he's going through right now, he hasn't said a thing. He hasn't tried to blame you. He hasn't tried to shift the wrath of the crew on anyone. He stares you down with icy eyes.
Fair enough. I'd like to say to my own conscience that I've not blamed him either. I mean, I did steal it, and I did let him take the fall, but I've not cast any doubt as to his honor as I pull my arm back and give him the 2 whips.
Right. You give him the 2 whips. The captain gives him 4. Twice for the ship, twice for the captain. And that's that. The end of the night of drinking. Everyone goes to their quarters. 2 other people are put on watch. And that is that. You guys set sail the very next day, leaving Talashar with the goods and spices that you got there, heading to Shelton and Walshan. where you can sell these wonderful spices to the humans and the elves who delight in them.
Perfect.
Pick up more cargo and continue around Arcadia in a constant circle from one port to another. You're going to learn a little bit about how cargo was moved and the methods of trade. You'll see that these people have an idea of what is valuable in which places, and then they pick up the things that they think they can sell later and do their best to offload them. Sometimes it doesn't go well. Sometimes a barrel isn't fully sealed and some bolts of silk get wet and ruined. Sometimes the winds die down low enough that extra cargo gets chucked off board so the ship can catch whatever little bits of wind possible and move on to the next area. And you will learn a little bit about sailing. I think this is where we're going to end our first segment. We are going to come back on the other side of our break with Pokemon Challenges, sorry.
Although he is a champion of Pokemon. All right.
Yes.
I was watching your stream earlier. And
the next chapter underway. So we will see you guys on the other side of our break with a little bit more Tides of Death. Bye-bye.